Good morning. It's baking day. Okay, so for anyone who has been watching my progress baking bread for the last month and yesterday, so yesterday we did all of the preparation, all of the folding, all of the rising, etc., fermentation, and today we bake. So I'm taking a chance on doing this on camera because it doesn't always work really great. So I have parchment paper and I have removed the beautiful dough from the refrigerator. It was covered in the refrigerator all night. And I'm going to place my parchment paper over my dough, and I'm going to, this is the part that always gets funky to me. Flip this over. Supposed to do it very carefully, but I didn't really do it very carefully. And take this off. Oh, it's not too bad. And remove my towel. Remember I mentioned that you've got to put a nice amount of flour, right? Because you don't want it to stick. So that's not sticking. Oh, sorry, you can't really see. Okay, I could have gotten this in the center better, but that's not so bad. So there we are. Okay, now we are going to add a tiny bit of flour. Okay. And gently rub that in, and you don't want any big clumps, but you want to get a nice amount of flour. This, well, I don't know what this does. I think it helps with the crust. That's my guess. Okay. And now this is the part that I really need practice on because I don't always get the cuts that I want. So you use, there's a little bit of flour on there. You use this handy razor blade tool. Okay. And you know how you see the bread and it always has this like beautiful slash mark and markings and decoration? Well, that's what this creates. But the one, and it also though has a practical purpose. So you'll see I'm drawing a nice diagonal slash. I think my razor blade just needs to be sharper, frankly, but into the bread. And what that'll allow the bread to do is have a lot of steam. Not a lot of steam. It allows steam to escape, okay, so that the bread will bake evenly. And then I'm going to do these smaller little decorative slash marks along the side. I don't know. Sometimes people make leaves. Mine just look like whatever. I'm gonna do a third set. I like that. Ha! All right, I think that's good. All right, now, I have to turn my back to the camera for a minute because I have to take my blazing hot Dutch oven out of the oven. And it's blazing hot because the oven is 500 degrees. I feel like I look like June Cleaver. Okay, that's going to be a reference that some people might not get. Now, I'm going to very carefully lift my bread. Oops, I forgot one thing. Let's brush off all this extra flour from the paper. You don't really want that in there. Okay, and I am going to place this in the Dutch oven. Okay, so there's a practical reason for this parchment because it's difficult to get the bread loaf in there without it. And I had to do that when I was making my very first loaves because my mother didn't have parchment paper. So I did burn my hand a little bit. Okay, so the lid goes back on. We put this back in the oven. Times to bake this recommended are do vary from one to another baker. I do mine for 20 minutes at 500, and then after 20 minutes I turn off the I turn the oven down to 450. I've read 400, I've read 425, I do 450. I tried something last week based on a something I read online, and I really liked how it worked out. When I turn the oven down, I take the Dutch oven out and I lift the bread out of the Dutch oven and I place it on a sheet pan. And I finish baking it on the sheet pan. And what I have found for me personally is that it makes the crust much, much easier to slice through. Otherwise, for some reason, my crust gets really hard. And it's like literally I almost need a bandsaw to slice through it. And I don't like that. So I tried this method last week and I really liked the results. The only downside is that you have to then get the Dutch oven back in and reheat it. And that takes a little more time. So you can't just move on to the next loaf, right? Because we have 2 loaves to bake. So we repeat this process again. If you want to leave it in the Dutch oven, you can, but you still do turn the oven down. I didn't try turning the oven down more. Like maybe if I left it in the Dutch oven and turned it down to 400, I'd get the same result that I get out of taking it out of the Dutch oven. I don't know. But for now, that's the way I'm going to do it. And so when we come back, you'll get to see fresh bread.